this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
The world's best ski and snowboard athletes are chasing medals. Now you can follow their every move. Join Insider, the official U.S. ski and snowboard fan loyalty program, and get premium viewing at World Cup ski events, exclusive athlete meetups, discounts from brands you love, and a custom welcome gift mailed direct to your doorstep. This winter, show your support as they race for the podium. Head to insider.usskiandsnowboard.org and join today.
You know what your customers are doing right this second? The exact same thing you are, listening to me. Which, let's be honest, is kind of flattering. But my point is, ads on iHeartRadio actually get heard. In the car, at the gym, on the couch, while people are walking their dogs. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? You're a good boy, that's right, you're a good boy. So why not make the next ad about you? Get started today. Call 844-844-iHeart or go to iHeartAdvertising.com. That's 844-844-iHeart or iHeartAdvertising.com.
Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. Getting deep into December already. I can't believe it. Much to discuss. In fact, without even planning this, Clay, I'm sitting here in a Crockett t-shirt. For Crockett Coffee, of course. Go to CrockettCoffee.com. Subscribe this holiday season. Get yourself hooked up. We got whole bean, ground bean, K-Cup, mushroom blend. It's amazing. Plus great gear. I bring it up, though, because there is a different Crockett in the news. We'll be discussing that momentarily. Jasmine Crockett. And now, we do have to take into account, Clay, the possibility that were she to say run for president, you and I would often be seen in public wearing Crockett gear. And this could be confusing. So we're going to have to address this somehow. Looks like we're out there canvassing for votes for Miss Jasmine Crockett of the House of Representatives, when in fact we're just trying to sell you the best coffee that you'll ever have. So we'll talk about Jasmine Crockett announcing her Senate run coming up. We've also got more on the Minnesota and Somali American fraud situation playing out. We have a Trump interview with Dasha Burns of Politico addressing a whole range of issues. We'll bring you the highlights of that. Trump was at an econ roundtable yesterday. Got to talk affordability. In fact, Uncle Bill, also known as Bill O'Reilly, best-selling author, TV host, etc., he will be with us at 1 Eastern here, next hour on the program. We'll ask him a lot of things, but certainly about the affordability question, because I think that is what will most likely determine the midterms, the outcome more than any other single issue. But I actually wanted to start with this one, if I may, Mr. Clay. Yesterday, we had mentioned this, but there were oral arguments in front of the Supreme Court yesterday. And those oral arguments included a case that goes right to presidential power, presidential authority, whether essentially the president can fire people who work for the executive branch, or is there truly a forever state, a deep state, whatever you want to call it. There are people who are the bureaucracy that are effectively a fourth branch of government because they cannot be fired by the executive branch. They are not employees of the legislative branch. They're certainly not part of the judicial branch. So what the heck is going on here? It is a very interesting question. I think, Clay, the outcome should be quite clear. And yet here is Ketanji Brown Jackson, whom I think you'd have to say is the most left-wing member of the court. She also, and I mean this, she talks the most by far of anybody on the court. And that's just a question of timing on the transcript. She talks the most by far. And unfortunately sometimes shows that she doesn't really understand the very basics of our government, which for a Supreme Court justice, I think is a problem. Here she is yesterday, Clay, on the issue of presidential authority and can you fire these forever bureaucrats? Play cut 6.
Some issues, some matters, some areas should be handled in this way by nonpartisan experts. That Congress is saying that expertise matters with respect to aspects of the economy and transportation and the various independent agencies that we have. So having a president come in and fire all the scientists and the doctors and the economists and the PhDs and replacing them with loyalists and people who don't know anything is actually not in the best interest of the citizens of the United States. These issues should not be in presidential control.
Whose control should they be in then, Clay? That's the question that seems obvious among others that Ketanji Brown Jackson, I do not think, has a particularly erudite answer to.
I have never said this before. I would be a better Supreme Court justice than Ketanji Brown Jackson. And I would not be a great Supreme Court justice. I don't think she has the intellectual heft to do this job. And the questions that she asks confirm that on a regular basis. Look, what she's trying to grapple with inarticulately is the concept of where do the powers of the presidency extend and how do they implicate the powers of Congress. So essentially what we've got here, and it is, I think, an actually intriguing and important position, is how do you end up making choices on, let me take a step back and explain, because I think this has gotten confusing to a lot of people, and I don't think it's overwhelmingly confusing. So let me just kind of lay out the issue here. About 100 years ago, Congress started to create these independent regulatory agencies inside of government that were basically neither executive nor congressional in nature. They were kind of a hybrid. And effectively the question is, and most of the time the terms on these agencies rotate, and they're supposed to be mixed Democrat, Republican, and all of these things. And the question really at essence here is, where does that fall within separation of powers? Because if you decide that these people are doing a bad job, the president is saying, I should have the authority to fire them because they are acting in an executive capacity. Ketanji Brown Jackson is trying to argue that they are independent of the entire political process, but derive their power from congressional authorization and therefore should be able to serve in their office without needing to be at the behest of anyone, right? And I think for most of us out there, we say, wait a minute, in a government, people should be actionable. And if you're acting in some form in an executive capacity, the president should have the ability to decide whether or not someone is on one of these agencies. And Ketanji Brown Jackson is trying to say, well, we need experts from outside the world of politics. Well, it's actually anti-democratic, right? Because the entire process of our country is predicated on there should be people who are able to be removed if the will of the people is violated on some level. And that's really what all this is about. And look, it's getting tied up in Trump, but I actually think that's a poor way of the media conveying it, because Trump's only going to be president for 3 more years. And largely the question is, what are the powers of the executive as it pertains to these agencies? And I happen to think the executive should have the power to remove. But Ketanji Brown Jackson, let's go back to her for a minute, Buck, because I actually think there's an argument that her selection for the Supreme Court quite clearly violated federal law, because Biden said, I'm only going to pick a black woman. You could not do that in almost any job in America without violating the law, because you shouldn't ever say the only person who can publicly, the only person who can get this job is a black woman. In doing so, Buck, Biden eliminated 97% of all individuals from being able to be considered. I think 3% of the overall court is made up of the overall legal apparatus made up of black women. I don't think that he could appoint her. I think there is an argument that her appointment was illegal under federal law because it clearly violates principles that the Supreme Court has articulated when it comes to how to consider race and sex in terms of jobs.
I also think she's not going to win you over with more of her oral arguments, which we're about to play here, Clay, in terms of her ability to and I don't mean, I may disagree, and I do disagree with Kagan, for example, on a lot of things. I do think she understands what's going on. Meaning, I think she understands the competing forces. She's
actually a brilliant lawyer.
Yeah. And the constitutional framework that we are discussing. So while I can disagree, she understands what does my side say, what does your side say. I don't think Ketanji Brown Jackson really understands what the sides are in this. She just knows what she wants.
She's a politician.
She's effectively a legislator wearing judicial robes. And here she is, more of the KBJ rant, play 7.
Can you speak to me about the danger of allowing in these various areas the president to actually control the Transportation Board and potentially the Federal Reserve and all these other independent agencies? In these particular areas, we would like to have independence. We don't want the president controlling. I guess what I don't understand from your overarching argument is why that determination of Congress, which makes perfect sense given its duty to protect the people of the United States, why that is subjugated to a concern about the president not being able to control everything. I mean, I appreciate there's a conflict between the two, but one would think under our constitutional design, given the history of the monarchy and the concerns that the framers had about a president controlling everything, that in the clash between those two, Congress's view that we should be able to have independence with respect to certain issues should take precedence.
I don't, what is she even saying? It sounds to me like she thinks that there's a special imputed power from Congress to have elements of government outside the executive branch, outside the legislative branch, where people are unfireable because of their so-called expertise. I mean, this case comes from trying to fire someone on the Federal Trade Commission, right? The case is Trump v. Slaughter, and it's about firing an FTC director. I think we could find somebody else to do the FTC job. Thank you very much. I think really what this goes to, Clay, is that Democrats cling to this, if you will, Fauciite power, going back to Dr. Fauci, of people who can have vast power within the bureaucracy, but are answering to no one because bureaucrats tend to be Democrats.
Also, it's Congress not doing its job because, I mean, this is very basic, and I get it. That when you go to separation of powers, where we really run into where the rubber meets the road is where do you define the separation of the power, right? This is Marbury v. Madison back in the day, with, hey, the Supreme Court has the ability to review any actions of the executive or the obviously congressional power and try to make a determination there. But again, I don't have any problem with Ketanji Brown Jackson's perspectives, but she, everything that she does, it appears that she thinks she's a senator or a governor or even a presidential candidate. If she wants to do politics, that's fine. But the job of a justice sitting on the Supreme Court is not to articulate political arguments. And that's all she seems capable of doing.
Well, I don't think she knows the difference, which is a huge problem.
Well, I think
she's so
more of an issue.
Deeply mired in her perspective, point of view, and political ideology that she does not know the difference between the role of a judge and the role of a legislator. That's what came across to me in this argument. That she has no idea, that she couldn't make a distinction, really, because she's saying things like, okay, well, who determines that these people are experts? So someone hired them somewhere along the line, so who gets to fire them? I mean, if you start to work backward from her premise, so once you work for the FTC, you get to stay there forever? So explain this to me. We can't find somebody better?
I think what you're seeing also internally in the Supreme Court is there's a growing disrespect of Ketanji Brown Jackson's seat on the Supreme Court. I think you saw it when Amy Coney Barrett slapped her down in kind of unprecedented terms. But there was a big article I read in the New York Times recently where even Elena Kagan and Justice Sotomayor are not that happy with Ketanji Brown Jackson. And so I think this is a curse that
she
Biden
makes their side look silly is really what's going on. She makes them look silly.
This is the lasting curse of the Biden era that is going to unfortunately stain the Supreme Court for the next 30, 40 years, maybe long after I'm gone. Ketanji Brown Jackson is, I think, around 50 years old. She's probably got 30 years left on the Supreme Court, and I think she's going to be a real liability as a justice going forward. And again, I don't know that I've ever pointed this out with anybody. I'm not trying to brag and say, hey, as a lawyer, I'd be some great Supreme Court justice. I don't think I'd be very good at it. I would be better than Ketanji Brown Jackson as a Supreme Court justice.
Clay, I didn't go to law school, and I think I'd be better than Ketanji Brown Jackson. And I actually
There's probably a lot of people out there that would be better. But again, I think there's an argument. I've never heard anybody make it, but I think there's an argument that her appointment is illegal under federal law and should not stand because of Biden specifically saying, I'm only going to put a black woman on. And by the way, she's I think a poor choice within the black female community. I think Biden, not surprisingly, made a poor choice, except to your point, he probably knew what he was doing, which is just basically putting a left-wing politician on the court to make left-wing arguments. And I think that's why you're seeing Sotomayor and Kagan back away from KBJ, and why you're actually seeing Amy Coney Barrett, who seems pretty doesn't seem like an angry person, to get her fired up in some of these court opinions. I think it's probably giving you an idea about what's going on behind the scenes.
Cozy Earth are great Christmas gifts. That is for sure. I got a whole bunch of Christmas gifts for my family in New York. I already gotten a lot of Cozy Earth stuff for Carrie here, but I had gotten even more stuff for my family in New York. They love it. The sheets, the blankets, the clothing, the pajamas, the robes. Are you a robe guy or gal? Let me tell you, some people really like robes. Go check out CozyEarth.com. Their products are incredible. This is your one-stop shop for everything you need for Christmas, for yourself, gifts for family and friends. Cozy Earth fabrics are incredibly soft, smooth, with a breathable feel. You can't go wrong sending this gift, particularly to somebody that is all about luxury items and luxury feel. The Bubble Cuddle Blanket is a fan favorite. Producer Allie, she snuggles up with her husband Gerard and their cats in the Bubble Cuddle Blanket. It's a fabulous thing. They're very snuggly. And I'm telling you, I've got one here with Carrie. We kind of share it every night, and I don't care. Maybe I drink my rosé while I have my Bubble Cuddle Blanket. You're going to join me in this one, guys. I'm telling you, your wife is going to love the Bubble Cuddle Blanket. Clay's got them at home. I've got them at home. Go to CozyEarth.com. Use code BUCK for up to 40% off. Make sure to order by December 12th. Only a few days here, guys. You got to get this in soon. By December 12th for guaranteed Christmas delivery. Go now. Check it out. CozyEarth.com. Code BUCK.
Saving America. One thought at a time. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The world's best ski and snowboard athletes are chasing medals. Now you can follow their every move. Join Insider, the official U.S. ski and snowboard fan loyalty program, and get premium viewing at World Cup ski events, exclusive athlete meetups, discounts from brands you love, and a custom welcome gift mailed direct to your doorstep. This winter, show your support as they race for the podium. Head to insider.usskiandsnowboard.org and join today.
Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next two combined. So whatever your customers are into, true crime, sports, comedy, culture, they'll hear your message. Plus, only iHeart can extend your message to audiences across broadcast radio. And all this reach means everything. Just think about the universal marketing formula. The number of consumers who hear your message times the response rate equals the results. Now let's get those results growing for you. Think podcasting can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, radio, and podcasting. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com. Or call 844-844-iHeart. One more time. Call 844-844-iHeart and get podcasting working for you.
Welcome back in, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We appreciate all of you hanging out with us as we're rolling through the second hour of the program. I encourage you, as always, go subscribe to the podcast. Also, you can find us on YouTube. You can go click like and subscribe there. We are on every social media platform under the sun, and we are joined now by Bill O'Reilly. You can find him certainly all over the internet now. At BillO'Reilly.com. He's got regular articles there. He is a best-selling author who has got one bestseller after another. And we were just actually talking about Whoopi Goldberg said, Bill, that Trump will just have no legacy whatsoever and he will vanish on the idiot show The View that she enjoys appearing on. And Buck and I both feel like Trump is definitely the most consequential figure of the 21st century. And Bill, I said I would put Trump right now behind only Reagan in my life as the best presidents. Now, you're a little bit older than me, but I was born in the last year of Jimmy Carter's presidency. You're a history guy, though. Where would you put Trump, and how do you assess Biden, since we know Biden's 10 years over? How do you think history views this era, those guys?
Well, first of all, we have to take Whoopi Goldberg seriously because she was in a movie called Ghost where she could see everything that happened. So I'm sure that carried over to her real life. And we know she has a PhD in history and political science, a combination which is extraordinary. So we can't just dismiss Ms. Goldberg out of hand. I'm being, of course, facetious. I read a book called Confronting the Presidents, which is right behind Confronting Evil, which is out now. We twinned them up, by the way. You can get both books on BillO'Reilly.com for a very fine price. Now, every time I see President Trump, and the last time was 5 days ago in the White House, so he spent 40 minutes with him, he's asking me the same question that you just asked me. So what's my legacy? Am I number one yet? And, you know, I can't be blunt. He's never going to be number one. Abraham Lincoln will always be the best president the United States.
So hold up, the president. You're in the Oval Office. This is a great scene. You're in the Oval Office with the president, and the president, who trusts your historical acumen, is saying, "Hey, Bill, how do you rank?" This is very, very funny. So he's asking you directly, "Hey, where do I rank right now?" And you told him, I love this. You told him what exactly?
I told him that, he's going, I should be number one. That's a statement he makes. I said, you'll never be number one. You know me. I mean, I don't pander to anybody. I said, you're never going to be number one because Lincoln was so extraordinary and held the Union together when few other presidents would have been able to do that. But you're in the top 10 right now, and you're the hardest working president of all time. No president has ever approached the work ethic of Donald Trump. And it's not even close. There's not even a close second to that. And I said, but a lot of your policies are yet to be known as far as their effectiveness is concerned. You got the border in your pocket, okay? And you also have accomplishments because you followed the second worst president in our history, Joe Biden. Only James Buchanan, who led up to Lincoln and who was an abject coward and allowed the South to arm itself for 4 years in preparation of the War of Rebellion, and Buchanan did nothing. Knew it, was too afraid to do anything about it. Worst president ever. Biden's number two. Why? Because in 4 years, Joe Biden did not solve one problem in this country. Not one. And all my liberal friends who voted for him and Kamala Harris, when I say to them, very politely, because I don't get angry about political differences, that's foolish. When I say, all right, give me one thing that he did.
Joe, I'm sorry, Bill, I got to jump in real quick. You're leaving out that President Biden solved Hunter's legal issues, which, to be fair, he swooped in on that one.
Okay, well, I'll debate you on that anytime you want, but the people who voted for him cannot come up with one.
Yeah, well, they certainly don't care that Hunter got a pardon, or if they do, I think they don't like it. But you're right.
Look, if it were Donald Trump Jr., President Trump would have done the same thing. But so I'm an honest guy.
Yeah.
All right. So Trump has to.
I was kidding about the pardon thing. I'm not trying to divert you from what you're saying. He clearly is a terrible president who didn't manage to solve much of anything. But I also wanted to ask you, Bill, if I could, the current president, who you say is excellent, not number one. He probably was a little miffed at that, but that's okay. He's an excellent president. He's going on a affordability tour of sorts, going to Eastern Pennsylvania, because I think there's a recognition even in this White House that despite the excellent policies, there's frustration with the economy. On affordability, do you think Trump's making the right move here by going? Do you think that this is something that the White House can successfully address so we don't lose the control of a House in the midterms?
Well, on the night before Thanksgiving, I was at the Islander hockey game, and the puck was about to drop, and I got a phone call from President Trump. right at the game. Now, when a president calls you, you got to take the call. He can't go to voicemail, all right? So I got a private office. The owner of the team is a friend of mine. And President Trump can proceed to yell at me for 10 minutes, all right, which is not unusual, all right? And when he gets going, you can't interrupt. He's like, all right. Essence of the disenchantment with O'Reilly was that I was reporting that the affordability situation could very much hurt him because all he has to do is go back to 2018 midterms. He got whacked. Trump got whacked, and Obama got whacked, and it serves a very difficult to hold power. And the press is pounding every second affordability, affordability, affordability. Now, the stats are not bad for Trump. They're not. In fact, on the No Spin News tonight, I'll lay them all out for you. But if you have a specific stat you want, I'll give it to you now. The economy is in pretty good shape. Stock market's good. 401k people, retirement plan people, prospering. You can get a job if you want it. Wages are up. Bacon is up. If you like bacon, you're paying more for bacon. Okay? But a whole number of other foods are down. So this is a contrived thing with one exception. Insurance costs are killing working Americans. Killing them. Health insurance, car insurance, house insurance. That after President Trump got through yelling at me, I said, all right, it's my job to report what's happening, Mr. President. Of course, you're not going to like some of it, but I'm fair. This is what you have to do. You got to get out there, and you got to tell people in 26, here's what we're going to do to bring down these prices very specifically. So I think he followed my advice, but I'm sure he got that advice from other people as well. I'm not taking credit for it. And he's out in Pennsylvania tonight.
Bill, this is a little bit of a pivot, but the last time we had you on, we had a caller who wanted us to ask you about Patton's death.
Yeah.
And whether you bought into, and I know you wrote about the death of Patton in your Killing series, what you thought about his death, and whether
he wrote a book, Killing Patton, in fact.
Whether what your take is on that death and what occurred.
Okay. First of all, you get all the books, and this is a shameless plug, but you guys are nice. You can get all 13 Killing books and the 2 Confronting books in one package on BillO'Reilly.com, which will save you hundreds of dollars in Christmas gift expenses because people want these books. Okay, so you get 15, you dole them out, you add up the money that you spend on that as opposed to what you would spend on 15 individual gifts, you're way ahead. BillO'Reilly.com. Killing Patton, we walked through the whole career of the best American general in World War II. Second best in history, next to John Pershing. Pershing was the best, okay? Patton was second. At the end of his life, many very strange things happened to George Patton. None of them added up. He should not have died in that hospital in Luxembourg. So, a lot of people, including me, suspect that he was murdered. Who would want to murder him? Russia, Stalin, Soviet Union. And they had access. Because remember, they were our allies in World War II. Because Patton wanted to fight them. He did not want to stop. Because he knew that the Soviet Union was going to replace Hitler and the Nazis as our main enemy.
So when you say he was killed, sorry to cut you off, do you mean poisoned in the wake of the car accident while he was recovering? Yes. Okay.
Poisoned in the hospital. And the car accident itself did not make any sense. And we trace it in Killing Patton. It did not make any sense. So anyway, I'm not a conspiracy guy. You guys know that. I don't deal with that. I am a reporter, and what I lay out is 100% accurate. The only resolution to this is to exhume the general's body, which is in Europe, and test. They did that for Zachary Taylor. Zachary Taylor got that treatment, and they won't do it for Patton.
Yeah.
We have a caller. Bill, we had a caller who called in who claimed that his father was the driver for the car when Patton was in that accident you mentioned. Just wanted you to hear this. This is 31.
You say your dad was driving the car when Patton was killed, when he died in the car accident?
Yes, he was.
Okay, well, what did your dad tell you about that?
He actually died 9 days later. He was driving a 38 Cadillac limo, and Patton was sitting in the back on the edge of the seat as usual. And they were waiting for a train to pass, and when it passed, he pulled away, got up to about 25 miles an hour, and there was a personnel carrier about a quarter mile down the road that pulled out at the same time. And when they got to each other, the personnel carrier turned right into the Cadillac, and Patton flew forward, hit his forehead on the partition between the front and the back, scalped himself, and broke his neck.
And so, from your perspective, your dad told you there is no conspiracy. There is, for people out there that have not believed that this was a traffic accident and it was a freak accident in some way based on the speed, but Patton died.
Yeah. My dad never talked about any conspiracies about it or anything like that, but I mean, there's 3 drunk GIs that all disappeared, They were in the personnel carrier. And, Patton was starting to do a lot better, and then he died, just all of a sudden.
Hey, Bill, take it away. What do you make of it?
Man, I believe that his father was the driver. The 3 soldiers he cited, that is unbelievable evidence. I mean, when you get a general, a 4-star, dying in this kind of a circumstance, you interview everybody. And nothing was done. Nothing was done. Washington feared Patton. That would be Harry Truman in the Democratic Party, because Patton was going to run for president. He was going to come back to the United States and run, just as Eisenhower did, and Eisenhower, of course, won. And so there were a lot of reasons that Patton had a lot of enemies, but the big enemy was Stalin. And Stalin had access. So I'm not saying that Patton was murdered, because I cannot prove it. What I am saying is that you could find out if this general was poisoned or not. And nobody is apparently wants to do that.
So that's the point about he had a turn for the worse in the hospital. I mean, it's interesting that it seemed he was getting better, then all of a sudden. And so you're saying that all of a sudden to you is very suspicious. You'd like to get to the bottom of it, or people to get to the bottom of it, with the testing of Patton's remains.
Yeah, if you read Killing Patton, anybody very interested in this subject should. We really walk through it in a non-hysterical way. So we have all the eyewitness reports in there, and, in my style. My style is I'm not boring you, I am moving this story along. But I'm not a guy who ordinarily buys into this stuff. But here, you had motive, you had accessibility, you had enemies both abroad and at home. And George is a tough guy. He was a big, strong guy. And it just doesn't stack.
Bill, thank you for hanging out with us here. Good Christmas gift, as you said, BillO'Reilly.com, for not only
real quick, I know you got to hit a break. President Trump asked me to give him Confronting Evil, specifically for the chapter on Putin, because we trace what has happened to Putin. He's not the same guy that Trump was dealing with in the first term. And the president wrote me a really nice note after he read Confronting Evil. So I just want you people to know that is out there.
That's outstanding. Thank you for the background stories. We'll talk to you again probably after the first of the new year. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you.
Okay, guys. You too. Have fun. Thank you.
That's Bill O'Reilly. When tragedy strikes, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors America's heroes and their families, like United States Army Specialist Andy Kingsley. Andy served our nation as part of the 82nd Airborne Division throughout his distinguished career. He received various awards and decorations, including a Purple Heart. But while Andy was deployed, he was severely injured. The incident resulted in the loss of his right leg, partial vision loss, a traumatic brain injury, and more. He spent over a year at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center learning how to navigate life with his injuries. Living with severe combat injuries can make even life's daily tasks challenging. That's why receiving a specially adapted mortgage-free smart home from Tunnel to Towers has been life-changing for Andy. It allows him to live with greater independence and dignity. This is the power of giving to Tunnel to Towers. Many more heroes like Andy need your support. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Want to be in the know when you're on the go? The Team 47 Podcast. Trump highlights from the week. Sundays at noon Eastern in the Clay and Buck Podcast feed. Find it on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Clay Travis with the Clay and Buck Show, wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Buck Sexton here. The entire Clay and Buck Show wish you and your family a warm Christmas season and a joyful New Year. Welcome back in here to Clay and Buck. So we have much to discuss with the Trump roundtable that occurred yesterday. We were just talking to Bill O'Reilly about the situation of affordability. And Bill is saying that there's a lot of perception driving that, more so even than the actual cold hard numbers, if you look into it, which I'm sure that is the case. But Trump at an econ roundtable, look, he's going to Pennsylvania to address affordability because it's a political issue, whether the numbers bear that out entirely or not. And a lot of people do feel like, well, first of all, prices are high. They've remained high. So you have to get into, okay, is it that affordability is not an issue, or is that it's not Trump's fault that affordability is an issue, or a whole range of things? But one thing that is definitely the case that came up is Obamacare. Clay, these new Obamacare premiums, they're just going up and up, and networks are getting smaller and smaller. And sure enough, the whole promise of Obamacare has fallen apart, and that's been the case for a long time. Trump here, this is Cut 21, was saying, look, it's been great for the insurance companies. It's been really bad for people that actually need health care. Play 21.
The insurance companies' stock has gone up by 1,700%, 1,800%. They're taking in trillions of dollars. I don't want to pay the insurance companies anything, and I know a lot of them, but they're owned by the Democrats. And the Democrats have, Obamacare is a setup to make insurance companies rich. And I want to pay the people, and I want the people to go out and buy their own health care. And that's what we want to do. And that's what the Republicans want to do, because Obamacare is a disaster.
Clay, it is a disaster, and it's time Republicans dig into this so that Democrats can't control the messaging going into the midterms.
All of healthcare is a disaster. And I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. Nobody has any idea what things cost. Nobody is happy. I would submit to you that everyone's least favorite thing almost in the world is having to get on the phone with an insurance company adjuster and try to explain why you're being overcharged, to the extent that you can even tell what your bill has on it. It is all just a huge game of hide the ball. And what Trump is saying is, in essence, a very real position. And honestly, I think most people out there would probably prefer this. It's let you have the money and then make your own decisions about what health care you need. I don't even think most people realize, if they're not the employer, what percentage of your overall salary goes for health care now. But this is crazy. I mean, there are lots of people out there paying $25,000, $30,000, $35,000 a year for your health care plans inside of whatever job you get. and you don't see that money. You don't have any idea how it's being allocated. I think huge percentages of people out there listening to us would like to get all of that money tax-free to themselves and then be able to make the choices about how to best allocate those resources for them and their family. And so what we basically have is a huge subsidy for all the health insurance companies of America. That is what Obamacare is. And the problem here, Buck, is the math. We have way more older people entering into needing substantial amounts of health care than we do young people. And by the way, this is not just for health care. This is Social Security. This is everything. All of these government policies are predicated on constantly having way more young people than we do old people. And in the next 20, 30, 40 years, the reality is we're going to have way more old people than we are young people. And that's true in a lot of countries. And the shell game, the hide the ball aspects of this are going to become more and more prominent. And people are going to get angrier because they don't feel like they're getting a good value for their money. I mean, I hate to say it, but this is part of what motivated the United Healthcare CEO shooting, is people are just misallocating anger and in many ways lashing out.
When you see what the real structure of Obamacare is, you have to have a lot of young, healthy people who don't use very much in the way of healthcare resources to spend into a system that is going to put a huge majority of it on older, sicker people. And that's so the whole system is a redistribution of wealth via healthcare. And then beyond that, there's also people who are getting subsidized in the programs and on these exchanges. That's what was really at issue in this shutdown. Government just funneling money into it to make it seem not as bad as it really is for individuals. But you have a lot of people who are getting massive subsidies because if they had to pay what the market rate is based upon the system of redistribution, the pricing on this would be insane. I mean, you'd be paying $50,000 a year for health insurance. Remember, not for health care. You're still on the hook to pay for your health care. 20% of the 100% of the whatever percent they say is like, customary and normal, or however they, phrase the language so that they can play all these games, the insurance companies. So that's a giant mess. And then there's also this, because we've been discussing the boat strikes, mostly in the Caribbean, against the narco terrorists. This is Trump with ABC's Rachel Scott. A little bit of a back and forth here. There's now a push, Clay, to have the video released, because clearly we have video, because they were under ISR, they were under surveillance. This is cut 20. Trump doesn't like this request.
Whatever Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
He now says it's under review. Are you ordering the secretary to release that full video?
Whatever he decides is okay with me. So every boat we knock out of the water, every boat, we save 25,000 American lives. That was a boat loaded up with drugs. I saw the video. They were trying to turn the boat back to where it could float.
Are you admitting to releasing the full video?
Didn't I just tell you that?
You said that it was up to Secretary
You're the most obnoxious reporter in the whole place. Let me just tell you, you are an obnoxious, a terrible reporter, and it's always the same thing with you. I told you, whatever Pete Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
There you go, Clay, laying it down.
They're trying to create a fall guy here. They tried to create the Admiral as the fall guy. They tried to create Hegseth as the fall guy. They've tried to create Trump as the fall guy. This story, other than on the far left wing, has vanished as soon as the video was shown in behind closed doors in Congress. Now, I know some Democrats came out and they said, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened. But the fact that the story vanished kind of tells you what the video is going to show. And I presume the video will show what has been reported already. And the numbers came out from the Harvard-Harris poll that I believe it was 58% of Americans support the strikes that are going on with Venezuelan narco boats. 42% disagree. And I bet if you show that video that it'll break down. About 60% of people will say, yeah, I agree with that. And about 40% will say, no, I disagree. But this is the world in which we're in, where you kind of have people floundering in every direction, trying to find something to be able to pin to Trump. And so far, they really aren't able to find anything. And I think it's going to be a challenge going forward, how exactly they convey their anger over Trump. And we come back we can play audio because Susie Wiles, Buck, is telling everybody that Trump plans to be on the road campaigning starting in Pennsylvania right now to sell the agenda that he has put in place. And I grabbed a picture. I need to tweet it out. Again, I think a large degree of Trump's success is just being ignored because he solved things so quickly on the border that almost no one is able to even contemplate how quickly he solved things. And I was reading our buddy Ryan Gordusky this morning as I was doing my prep. The White House has said about 2 million people have self-deported and or been removed who are illegals. And Ryan Gordusky looked at the data on newborns in the country, and he said, actually, the data does support the idea that there are increasing numbers of people leaving the country because they're not having kids, non-citizens, illegals, are not having kids at the rates that they were before. But when you look at the graphic, it's really kind of amazing to see.
Yes, the Trump immigration policies are working in ways that aren't even necessarily at the center of the conversation on immigration, but are very, very effective. On the other side of things, you have Zohran Mamdani in New York City telling illegals how to avoid law enforcement. This is cut 24. Listen to this one.
If you encounter ICE, these are the things that every New Yorker should know. First, ICE cannot enter into private spaces like your home, school, or a private area of your workplace without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. That looks like this. If ICE does not have a judicial warrant signed by a judge, you have the right to say, I do not consent to entry, and the right to keep your door closed. Sometimes ICE will show you paperwork that looks like this and tell you that they have the right to arrest you. That is false. ICE is legally allowed to lie to you, but you have the right to remain silent. If you're being detained, you may always ask, am I free to go? Repeatedly until they answer you. You are legally allowed to film ICE as long as you do not interfere with an arrest. New Yorkers have a constitutional right to protest. And when I'm mayor, we will protect that right.
I just say, imagine if he did this for drug dealers. All of that would be true as well. Let me be clear. Everything that he said there is true in general for any criminal, for any violation of law. All of that is true, but he's doing it for illegals because for Democrats, illegals are a protected class of person, Clay. And this is what is going to continue to be a huge problem for them. This is what is going to continue to drag them down because they can't avoid that reality without completely inflaming the left-wing base of their party.
Yeah, look, and they're on the wrong on this issue. They're on the wrong on every issue, which is why I think you're going to see them just try to pivot and blame Trump for the fact that Biden's inflation drove up the prices of goods so substantially. That's the reality. Even though inflation has come back down substantially, we're at 2.7%, I think. Target is 2%. People are just angry, and I get it because it feels like goods cost more than they should. Until that starts to settle in, that rapid increase becomes embedded into our minds as to what things should cost. This is the pernicious nature of inflation. It is diabolical in its impact to frustrate everyone.
Absolutely. We'll take some of your calls and talkbacks here coming up in a second, so make sure you send them in. Go to the iHeart app, go to the Clay and Buck page, subscribe to the Clay and Buck Podcast Network, and then press that little microphone, send us a talkback, or just call in live. That's always fun, too. We love our live callers. Home invasions, my friends, very serious problem. Happen every 30 seconds in this country. Just knowing these stats is a reminder, you gotta have defenses set up. You gotta be able to protect yourself, your family, your home. And Sabre makes the most effective non-lethal protection tools on the market. Because when you need them, Sabre, trusted, tested, legit, is there for you. Sabre's the #1 pepper spray brand trusted by law enforcement. Sabre, it's spelled S-A-B-R-E, and the website is sabreradio.com. Their pepper gel projectile launcher is shaped like a rifle or a pistol, fires off a pepper gel projectile that is targeted and goes quite a ways. Clay and I have both used this out at the range ourselves. You need to check out, though, the whole range of products that they have, because for non-lethal self-defense, non-lethal home defense, they've got so much stuff. Things you might not even know you need until you see them. Do some Christmas shopping for yourself that'll keep you safe. Go to sabreradio.com. You'll save 15% there. That's sabreradio.com. or call 844-824-SAFE, 844-824-SAFE.
News you can count on, and some laughs, too. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The world's best ski and snowboard athletes are chasing medals. Now you can follow their every move. Join Insider, the official U.S. ski and snowboard fan loyalty program, and get premium viewing at World Cup ski events, exclusive athlete meetups, discounts from brands you love, and a custom welcome gift mailed direct to your doorstep. This winter, show your support as they race for the podium. Head to insider.usskiandsnowboard.org and join today.
Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again. Because more people are listening to the radio on iHeart today than they were 20 years ago. And only iHeart Broadcast Radio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, social, any other media. Even twice as many teens than TikTok. And that reach means everything. Just think about the universal marketing formula. The number of consumers who hear your message times the response rate equals the results. Now let's get those results growing for your business. Radio's here now more than ever, and iHeart's leading the way. Think radio can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, podcasting, and radio, where the reach is real. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com. Or call 844-844-iHeart. One more time, just call 844-844-iHeart and get radio working for you.
Are you feeling that? You feeling that steamroll coming your way from the Mannheim Steamroller, everybody?
I'm going to take some flack here, Buck. Not about this.
Oh man, I was like, you're getting in the way of the steamroller, buddy. You're going to get
stepping in front of the steamroller and getting flattened. Maybe even broader though. I think Christmas music's overplayed. I was out to dinner the other day. Sunday night, went out to dinner, and I could hear throughout the whole meal they were playing Christmas music. Now look, I used to work in retail back in the day, American Eagle Outfitters. May have heard of it, Abercrombie & Fitch. And I know because we would have our holiday medley, and anybody who's ever worked in retail, it's the same track over and over and over again. But there is evidence to support that people buy more products when you play Christmas music. So I get it in a retail setting. I don't know that I need to hear it in elevators everywhere. I don't know that I need to hear it while I'm eating dinner. I would be very, very comfortable with, and I used to make jokes about this in sports talk radio. We would only play Christmas music starting in December. I know we play a lot of Christmas music on this. Do you know we get beat in ratings now, you and me and everybody out there who does talk radio? Every community in America, Christmas music goes to number one. We just get trounced, and all they do is play Jingle Bells over and over and over again. So I feel like we're inundated, frankly, with too much holiday music. Does that make me sound like the Grinch, or do you think most people agree with me that it's impossible to escape and we don't need as much?
Well, I think you're going to get lit up over this one, buddy. I'm just going to step away from the blast radius. I love Santa Claus and all the Christmas cheer and music and everything else.
No,
I'm going to let Clay.
I'm just telling you, ho, ho, ho. I'm the Grinch. I'll own it. There's too much Christmas music in all facets of life. I don't need to hear it everywhere.
I'll tell you this. I believe I've referred to it before as going Grinch, or maybe other people have coined that and I just picked it up. I don't know, but that's what I say. I don't want, there are certain categories here. Children, yes, give them gifts, but not a ton of gifts. Okay. You shouldn't your living room should not look like a Toys R Us after 500 kids have like rummaged through all the packaging or something. I guess Toys R Us even exist anymore. That used to be remember when toy stores were this thing and they had all this G.I. Joes and He-Man made in China stuff.
Toys R Us was incredible. They'd shut them all down. Remember KB Toys in the mall?
Oh, yeah.
They used to have KB Toys and Walden Books. You had one, when I was growing up, we had one toy store before the Toys R Us came to town. And we only had one bookstore for basically my whole life. We had Walden Books in the local mall. And those were everywhere. I don't think either of them exist anymore. I think Walden Books is gone.
So, there was a time when you had first of all, I've always hated the pressure of you got to get gifts for all these people, especially get gifts for people that maybe you don't know that well, whatever. Here's what I would say. You get gifts for kids under 18 in your family, your kids, your own children, nieces, nephews. Yes, you get them gifts. Like we're going to get little Speed gifts, although it's not like he can remember them. He's 8 months old, but we do that. Fine. My little nieces and nephews, we give them gifts too. And I'm going to tell you this, in this household, I contribute to niece and nephew, college funds. That's what every year I'm just like, I contribute. Now I know that doesn't sound like, like what Santa Claus would do. Let me tell you something. I do it every year.
That is such an old man move, by the way. I'm not disputing. You're too young to be doing college fund contributions for your nieces.
What are you
actually?
That is nonsense.
I don't want all the financial planners out there.
Where is Dave Ramsey when I need him? I need Dave Ramsey here. Dave would support my 529 plan.
Your
contributions for my nieces and
donations
nephews
are amazing. You're too young to be going straight and the college donations.
I am wrapping myself in the mantle of Uncle Dave Ramsey on this one. He would totally approve. So I do the 529 plan contributions. And so there's that. And then obviously, gifts, bonuses, things like that. People you work with, people who work for you, whatever it is. And really it's like money is really what they actually don't want some beige sweater. They actually just want money so they can, have money in their bank account. They can do with what they want. We stopped doing presents among the adults in my immediate family at I wouldn't say demand, but I pretty much demanded this. I don't know if my dad's listening. I think when he gave me a belt for the 4th year in a row, I was like, he's not going to be happy with me telling this story. But I think when he gave me a belt 4 years in a row.
How were the belts different? Was it like different color belts? Was it like
black leather belts, like maybe slightly different buckle on them? But he was just like, here you go, son. Like, here's a belt. I was like, thank you. I'm going to add it to my belt collection. So, which is all from you because I don't even really wear belts. So I will say that we decided as a family to get rid of that pressure to get things last minute. It is so great. It is such a nice, you don't have to just everyone just stop with this stuff. Christmas is, for those of us who are Christians, Christmas is actually supposed to be about the celebration of something holy. It's supposed to be about the celebration as well of family and being together and reflecting on the year. It's really not supposed to be, get me the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, mommy, or you don't love me. Like, that's not what it's, and it's not supposed to be, hey, Uncle Phil, thanks for bringing me these socks with tree frogs on them. It's what I've always wanted. Like, no, we don't need to do this.
Here's where I will co-sign. And now this is going to make me sound really Grinchy. I don't think anybody over the age of 18 should get gifts for Christmas.
Yes.
I think you should only get gifts for kids. Santa, that's fun. I don't even know you need to go to 18, but let's say to 18. After that, like, I'm not super excited to open gifts. I have zero interest in buying
gifts. Can I
gifts.
add to what you're saying? Cause obviously you appreciate this. You see what I see. Also, Clay, we all walk around now. 20 years ago, it was different. If you really wanted that thing from the Sharper Image, you had to get out. Remember that, guys? The Sharper Image. You had to get out that catalog. You had to order it. It had to arrive. It took 10 days or a month or whatever. I can get anything I want delivered tomorrow. I actually don't want for any material thing in a way that someone's going to give it to me for. And Carrie's so funny. She's like, well, shouldn't I get you? I'm like, no, honey, I love you. Don't buy me an expensive watch with my own money. Like, I've got it. I'm fine. Like, I don't need that. I don't want that. I'm wearing a rubber wedding ring right now because I can't even find my wedding ring, which is driving me nuts. So that's where we are.
I agree with all that. We probably have destroyed 80% of the Christmas holiday spirit out there in this segment.
Yeah, except for our sponsors, Christmas gifts aplenty. That's where you got to go. Don't ever forget that. Crockett Coffee. Love to get you coffee for Christmas because you need that. No, but I just really mean the gifts for immediate family members that, come on.
I am sold on only kids should get Christmas gifts. I think it would be a revolutionary thing that would actually be super beneficial to the country, not to mention the number of men that just get blown up every year because they're like your dad buying belts because they have no idea what to get people. I mean, what do you get? To your point, like,
do you know how many wallets I had amassed over the years for my dad giving me a wallet?
Ties. I mean, every dad out there, ties. Even moms. Like, where's that great Saturday Night Live? skit that they did, which was actually very funny, and Mom Got a Robe. Do you remember that? Like, it's a great song, cause mom's responsible for buying gifts for everybody. And then every year she gets a coffee mug or a robe or whatever it is. I agree. By the way, I didn't expect to get this criticism today. Steve in Eden, North Carolina. He's fired up, Buck. I don't know if you know the criticism coming our way, but Steve, what you got for us?
Hey, Buck. This ain't your son. This is another Steve. But anyway, every time I hear people talking about the greatest presidents, I always get irked a little bit. I mean, everybody pretty much says Abraham Lincoln. What about George Washington?
So you think the show,
do y'all not remember?
Yeah, you think that the show has been too disrespectful of George Washington today?
I'm not.
I actually would co-sign Steve on this. Steve, just to be clear, I didn't say that was Bill O'Reilly who said Abraham Lincoln's clear number one. I would put GW in the number one spot, no question in my mind, for a whole bunch of reasons.
How could you not?
I'm with you, buddy. I don't know.
I'd actually put him below.
Who do you credit with us having the United States of America?
Look. Here, I'm reading right now, Rick Atkinson, great trilogy. He's on volume 2, all about the Revolutionary War. I would actually put Washington 3. I think that I'd put him third on the list.
Now he's just trolling you, Steve. He's just trolling
Steve,
you.
I'm telling you right now, I'd put him third. I think you got to go Lincoln 1, because I don't think we would have a country if Lincoln hadn't stepped up. And I would go 2, Jefferson. Because I think the Louisiana Purchase was probably the most important decision that anybody made. Now, when you're talking gold, silver, bronze, like, that's pretty good stuff. I'm going to really fire Steve up. Thank you for the call, Steve. I think he was confusing speed with Steve. He thought your son's name is Speed, not Steve.
My son's name is actually like going fast, which is what Clay does in a car. The opposite of what I do in a car, but SPEED is my son's name, not Steve, but close enough.
Okay, so I think Washington's actually overrated in some respects. He was actually not a very good general. He made a lot of awful choices. If you go study George Washington in the Revolutionary War.
He was outgunned, but I can't just let you. This is listen, Mr. Civil War buff. You're just getting crazy here, okay? First of all, big G-dubs kept the army together, fighting the most impressive, certainly Navy, and overall, I think you could argue military machine in the world at that time. The French would have been right there with them, but, we all know how that went for them when their revolution started. Point being, he did an amazing job holding them together, but that's as a general. As president, for him to be there to preside, to step aside when the time came, to be the father of the nation, not to allow factionalism to pull it all apart at the seams in the earliest days, not to let that pompous Adams get the titles of nobility going. I'm just saying.
I'm just going to fire away on Washington here. Not a very good general on the battlefield. You're right. He held them together. Second, would have been a big scandal back in the day. Do you know he refused to take a salary, but just did an expense account instead and ran up exorbitant costs as the president of the United States?
He had to entertain. He had to throw some parties. I'm throwing a party this week. You know what I mean, buddy? It's expensive.
Such that they had to go back in and actually say, no. We need to give the president a salary because G-Dub, I don't want to throw her under the bus here. Maybe Martha had expensive taste. Not a lot of criticism for Martha Washington these days. I think if you go back and look at the G-Dub expense account, Martha ran up a lot of money there. And such that they decided, you know what? Maybe we need to have a salary.
Jefferson Jefferson thought that the French Revolution was a good idea and it was going to work out. Jefferson was on the wrong side of some big stuff. I like his Barbary Pirates move. That was pretty slick. That was good. We didn't really have much choice.
Louisiana Purchase was good. Probably shouldn't have slept with a slave if we want to go, micromanage Jefferson's,
there's a lot of dispute over whether that actually occurred, sir. I'm letting you know. Some people are going to tell you that they have. What is the evidence for that again? I mean, the evidence for it is pretty.
It's definitely a Jefferson at some point was involved in being the progenitor. Is that the right word? It was could have been a brother, could have been like the DNA is the DNA.
It's just been a nice quiet day on the show, and Clay is deciding to throw G-Dub's under the bus. He's deciding that that Jefferson's private life is something that is very much has some problematic aspect to it. Although, like I said, this is very disputed whether this actually occurred or not. Jim in Clearwater, Florida, wants to talk presents. He's going to bring us back in line here. What's going on, Jim?
Hey guys, I've been listening since Rush back in like '88. But
thank you.
So my family has solved the issue of buying adults presents. We downloaded an app called Draw Names, and I think that's the name of it. And we do a bottle swap. You kind of know everybody's favorite kind of liquor or wine or whatever, and you can try to find something unique that they wouldn't normally think of or see or buy.
Yeah, look, I think that kind of thing is cool. I think that's fine. I'm on Buck's side here in that it used to be that it was kind of difficult to get things purchased. I don't remember the last time I thought, boy, I can't find X and I really need it. I said X, cause it might have been misheard. And if you do, like in this day and age, it's not that hard to be able to get, whatever you want purchased. Now, to be fair, I buy things at Amazon, almost always books, and Costco, almost always Kirkland brand clothes. So I got my family members, I got my family members like early edition antique books one year that I thought would all for individuals. And I thought I think they all ended up as coasters on like the sides of, various desks, so I've tried I've tried the special gift thing too. And you know what? They didn't like my third edition Mark Twain or whatever. So you know what? Fine. You know what sends the Travis kids running for the hills? I read everything print, newspaper. I read all day long every day. And I find stories that I'm like, I know this is the perfect story for this son or even my wife. I don't think any of them ever read it. My dad back in the day used to cut out articles. I read them all. He would mail them to me, back in the day when you couldn't get local newspapers, you're away at college, whatever. I still have some of those. I read articles and I'm like, oh, this is perfect for my oldest son. He's going to love this. We just had this conversation. Oh, this is perfect for middle son, youngest son, wife. And I could see in their face, oh, here's dad with another reading assignment. And it's like they're so disappointed that I'm bringing them something to read. All I'm trying to do is just increase their brain and make their world more expansive. And all they think is dad just gives us homework all the time. Here's some more homework for all of you, but hopefully it can lead to wins. Prize picks. All right. I'm going to give this out multiple times. So if you don't get it now, it's this week's pick. Tua, Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, Bryce Young, Shedeur Sanders, all to throw more touchdown passes than Prize Picks has them set up. Tua, Dak, Sam Darnold, Bryce Young, Shedeur Sanders. Just click more on each of those. It pays out 6x. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com. My name, Clay. When you put $5 in a pick, you get $50 deposited into your account. Boom. There you go for the holiday season. What better than to have some fun watching football? College or pro, if you love basketball, whatever your sport is, you'll get hooked up. prizepicks.com, code Clay. That's prizepicks.com, code Clay.
Keep up with the biggest political comeback in world history on the Team 47 podcast. Clay and Buck highlight Trump replays from the week. Sundays at noon Eastern. Find it on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The world's best ski and snowboard athletes are chasing medals. Now you can follow their every move. Join Insider, the official U.S. ski and snowboard fan loyalty program, and get premium viewing at World Cup ski events, exclusive athlete meetups, discounts from brands you love, and a custom welcome gift mailed direct to your doorstep. This winter, show your support as they race for the podium. Head to insider.usskiandsnowboard.org and join today.
You know what your customers are doing right this second? The exact same thing you are, listening to me. Which, let's be honest, is kind of flattering. But my point is, ads on iHeartRadio actually get heard. In the car, at the gym, on the couch, while people are walking their dogs. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? You're a good boy. That's right. You're a good boy. So why not make the next ad about you? Get started today. Call 844-844-iHeart or go to iHeartAdvertising.com. That's 844-844-iHeart or iHeartAdvertising.com.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.